As you've heard, to some investors, crypto is the way of the future. To others, it's little more than a scam. Either way, buyer beware. Here's John Blackstone.
At the Computer History Museum in Silicon Valley, the exhibits chart how technology got to where it is today. Originally, people didn't think that you needed a keyboard for a computer. That wasn't the idea.
Well, no, the way computers had always evolved is they started out as a processor like this with switches and lights.
There could be no better guide to this history than Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple. Over here is the Apple I.
Yeah.
In 1976, Wozniak built the Apple I, and from that, he and Steve Jobs built a company.
Incredible times, just coming down wanting to build a neat product.
Wozniak was the inventor, Jobs was the master salesman. And when Wozniak created the Apple II, Jobs had something new to sell, the first personal computer to display color.
That was the machine that really made personal computers go because it was so fun. Look at the logo, 6 colors, so many breakthroughs in there that are just so far out of the box.
You helped start the computer revolution that brought us where we are today. Good or bad?
Well, it's good. Well, yeah, until the internet came and it offered new business models, ways to have power over other people and control a lot of customers. That's when some of the bad started happening.
And some of that bad has happened to Steve Wozniak.
Some people said they lost their life savings.
And of course it's fraud.
Wozniak's wife Janet learned from one of the victims that a scam on YouTube was using Wozniak to steal Bitcoin.
I got an email on our web server. It said, "When are you going to send me my money?" And I wrote back and I said, "What are you talking about?" And they had actually taken video of Woz talking about Bitcoin, and then they put a nice frame around it with a Bitcoin address that if you sent him any amount of Bitcoin, he would send you double that back.
You might think that YouTube, owned by Google, would be quick to take down a fraudulent video using the image of Apple's co-founder, but you'd be wrong.
We never got to YouTube. Our lawyer has gotten to their lawyer, that's all.
Brian Danitz is Wozniak's lawyer.
We've asked YouTube over and over, and it keeps happening.
So Wozniak sued YouTube on behalf of some of those who lost money in the Bitcoin scam.
I sent in, it was 0.9 Bitcoin worth $59,000 at the time.
Jennifer Marion is one of them.
Yeah.
And you thought you might get more than $100,000 worth back?
Yes.
And what did you get back?
I got back nothing.
You didn't think, this is too good to be true, doubling your money in minutes?
In retrospect, it seems so obvious that this must be a scam, but in that moment, I was just comfortable at home. I was on YouTube, a well-known platform. I was watching a video from a verified business, and in that moment, I viewed it like a business transaction. Like if I was in a physical Google store, and the Google store representative told me there's a representative from a company over there, and they said, okay, we're doing a special 50% off if you buy in cash. I kind of viewed it like that. It was like kind of like a buy one, get one free for Bitcoin.
No, that's a crime. A good person, if you see a crime happening, you step in and you do something about it. You try to stop it.
Wozniak's lawsuit against YouTube has been tied up in court now for 5 years, stalled by federal legislation known as Section 230.
Section 230 is a very broad statute that limits, if not totally, the ability to bring any kind of case against these social media platforms.
Section 230 is sometimes called the 26 words that created the Internet. It became law in 1996.
It says that anything gets posted, they have no liability at all. It's totally absolute.
Google responded to our inquiry about Wozniak's lawsuit with a statement. We take abuse of our platform seriously and take action when we detect violations. We have tools for users to report channels that are impersonating their likeness or business. Janet Wozniak, however, says YouTube did nothing, even though she reported the scam video multiple times.
Please take this down. This is an obvious mistake. This is fraud. You're YouTube, you're helping dupe people out of their money. but
They wouldn't.
So I think that users in general on YouTube need to be cautious and know that YouTube isn't fighting back. These scams that have been refined to be very effective and psychologically manipulative are allowed to continuously be put up on YouTube. So they're there every day. So you need to be aware that it's not safe. Don't think, oh, YouTube, Google, be good, that kind of thing, that it's safe. It's not.
YouTube is not the only platform used by scammers. They now operate across the internet.
Over $10 billion in AI scams are happening on the internet. $5 billion in cybercurrency scams on the internet. We get contacted every week by people who have been scammed on the internet.
Just look at spam, look at the phishing attempts, just all over the place, and there's not enough real, muscle to fight it.
As a pioneer of the personal computer, Wozniak's goal was to give computing power to the people. The internet did that as well. When the internet really began to be a public use, it seemed to be there to democratize information.
Oh, I loved it for that. You could talk to people all over the world. They could publish knowledge that they knew without having to go through a third-party book publisher.
What happened to that democratization of the
Well,
internet?
what happened to it was companies figured out how to exploit it. Then came the social web and Google. Google had to make money tracking you and selling it to advertisers.
Wozniak sold most of his Apple stock in the mid-1980s when he left the company. Today, though, he still gets a small paycheck from Apple for making speeches and representing the company. How does it make you feel, then, seeing Apple become a trillion-dollar company?
Well, of course, I'm proud, and Apple is still the best. And when Apple does things I don't like, and some of the closeness, I wish it were more open, I'll speak out about it. Nobody buys my voice.
Apple listen to you when you speak out?
No. Oh, no. Oh, no.
For months now, our CBS News investigative unit has been exploring the dark, dangerous side of online dating. The results of their exhaustive inquiry will air all this week, starting now. Here's correspondent Jim Axelrod.
She had all these buckets full in her life. My mom did. But there was this one bucket that was missing, and that was a male relationship.
3 years after Kelly Gow's father died from cancer, her mother, 57-year-old Laura Kowal, a retired hospital executive, decided she was ready to start dating again.
My mom was actually very specific about wanting to do online dating. It allowed her the opportunity to have more control of what she was looking for in somebody, and it felt safer.
After going online, Laura found what she thought was true love on Match.com. She fell hard for a man named Frank, a self-described Swedish businessman. His profile included this stolen photo.
October 4th, 2018, she meets Frank over email. Smart, shrewd, savvy woman. 12 days later, telling someone she's never met, "You have my heart forever."
Clearly, my mom felt the emotions of feeling loved and having companionship just through email. And I know there's a lot of people out there saying, well, how could that happen?
That's right. This lonely-hearted retiree who sought safety as she started dating fell for a man she never met face-to-face. Which is why, in the summer of 2020, Kelly was relieved that Laura's online romance seemed to have run its course.
And I'm calling in regards to your mother, Laura Kowal,
Until she received an alarming call from a federal agent.
who may have been involved in a fraud scam as a victim.
I called my mom, and I immediately knew there was something legitimate to this.
What are you thinking?
I knew it had to do with Frank.
Kelly rushed to her mom's home in Galena, Illinois.
It's not like she'd planned to leave, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
calling the police when she found the house empty,
Effie was just laying on the couch when I got here.
except for her mom's dog, Effie, who never left her side.
I just don't know where she would have gone.
She started looking for clues, sifting through bank records, and discovering her mom had wired Frank about $1.5 million, just about everything she had.
I think as I went through and started uncovering this, I just became almost sick at just the depths of all of it.
In the last year, 2023, our best estimate is losses in the range of $1.3 billion related to romance scams alone.
$1.3 billion.
And that represents an increase from about $500 million in 2019.
Arun Rao runs the Consumer Protection Branch at the Department of Justice, which investigates online romance scams.
It's been a rapid rate of increase, but we believe that is also substantially undercounting the true extent of the problem.
Undercounted because people are wrapped in shame and embarrassment, and so they may not actually go to law enforcement and report it?
That's right. They may be embarrassed that they have been victimized in this way. They may be afraid to tell their friends or family.
They come from all walks of life. It's all ages.
All education levels?
All education levels. Doctors and lawyers to ditch diggers.
Even though retired U.S. Postal Inspector Natalie Rita saw it many times, it never failed to stun her how the heart overruled the head.
When you're signing up, there are banners and warning signs that say, don't ever send money to somebody you don't know.
Ron wants your money. Don't send it. The person pretending to be Ron is a scammer.
So people run right through the stop sign.
Oh, yeah.
As Laura drew closer to Frank, her family grew suspicious, and for good reason. As federal agents would eventually discover, Frank's photos were of an unsuspecting Chilean doctor, and his emails would be traced not to Sweden, but here, to Ghana.
You need to be very good in building the trust.
We spoke to a former scammer who called himself Emmanuel.
Actually, you need two things. You need to establish trust, and you need to exploit their hope.
That is it. So when we are able to do that, then we start extracting money from them.
Ghana and nearby Nigeria are home to thousands of scammers operating with impunity. They're called Yahoo Boys by religious leaders who seem to condone their crimes.
Many Yahoo boys, Yahoo girls, Yahoo man, Yahoo woman are going to make heaven.
Emmanuel describes sophisticated teams with specialists who could impersonate accents and harness technology to mask their location.
How hard was it for you to set up a fake profile on the sites like Match.com?
It is easy.
In a 2019 lawsuit, the Federal Trade Commission alleged that as many as 25 to 30% of Match.com members who register each day were using Match.com to perpetrate scams. 25 to 30%. Match Group told us in a statement, "We believe the FTC allegations have no merit."
Mr. Kim, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Jim Axelrod from CBS News.
After 6 months of asking Match.com's parent company to discuss this, we finally approached Bernard Kim, the CEO of Match Group, the largest online dating company, which operates apps including Hinge, OkCupid, and Tinder.
We've been talking to a bunch of scammers, and they say they're having absolutely no problem setting up fake profiles.
We're working really, really hard every single day to make sure that people are authentic.
I was talking to the head of Match.com, the man who runs it. And he said to me, making sure people don't get scammed, that's our top priority.
I think maybe he's not aware of what is really going on Match.com. Maybe he might think he had that security on Match.com, but people have their way around it.
It's easy to get around it.
So easy to go around it.
Match Group says it spends $125 million annually on trust and safety. Prosecutors do pursue cases against the scammers when they can find them. In Laura Kowal's case, they traced some of the money she sent to scammers to 3 people in Chicago who have been charged with wire fraud, including this woman, an American military veteran and postal worker named Jennifer Gosha.
I thought we were in a relationship, and I thought we were going to build together and have a life together. And it turned out that wasn't the case.
Gosha pleaded not guilty and told us she's not a criminal, but a victim who was coerced into helping Laura's scammers, saying the Nigerian co-conspirator she was dating used her to help launder money scammed from others.
Do you ever think to yourself, I played a part in someone's life being ruined?
I have thought that many, many times. And I didn't play a part in it knowingly.
If convicted, Gosha could face up to 30 years in prison. She claims she didn't make a single penny from any alleged scam.
I am not someone who decides at 52 years old, after all I've accomplished in my life, now I'm going to become a criminal mastermind.
Kelly spent weeks reading hundreds of emails between her mother and Frank as she untangled their relationship. And just like Jennifer Gosha's claims about the man she was dating, Frank had started teaching Laura how to help him move money. It's a harrowing new twist to online romance scams. Laura Kowal was now an accomplice, becoming what law enforcement calls a money mule.
They go and they open bank accounts at financial institutions. Most of the time, the wire transfers into the bank accounts are the proceeds from other romance fraud victims.
James Barnacle, the head of the Financial Crimes Division of the FBI, says this is next-level victim exploitation.
They're committing a crime at that point. So they've opened a bank account illegally under false pretenses. That's bank fraud.
Laura went so far as to set up fake dating profiles that ensnared more victims.
There were some emails where she said, I'm not comfortable doing this, saying that she's uneasy about this. It just really saddens me that it got to that point that ultimately she was participating in illegal behaviors.
Oh, I love you, honey.
With her mom still missing, Kelly found one more clue, a haunting note.
Kelly, you have kept me going this long. I love you. You were right in your judgment of me. I've been living a double life this past year. It has left me broke and broken. Yes, it involves Frank. I tried to stop this many times, but I knew I would end up dead.
2 days after she disappeared, Laura was found dead in the Mississippi River, almost 250 miles from her home. Kelly has spent the last 3 years desperately trying to find out just what happened to her mother, retracing the last hours of Laura's life from Illinois to Iowa to Missouri.
My heart is just extremely heavy that she died this way, and this is where she was found.
Laura's death was ruled a drowning, not a suicide. Kelly thinks about her mom's last note and believes she was killed. She drives the miles between her mom's home and where Laura was found, hoping to solve the mystery.
I never thought that this could happen to her, but I'm sitting here today as proof that this could happen to anybody.
The criminals who did this to your mom, we're sitting here because of them.
And I have so much anger towards them. Because I look at my life now and my mom is missing out on all of that. They took so much away from me. They took everything away from her. My family will never get that time back.
It's probably happened to you. You get an email, a phone call, or text that seems like the real thing, only it's a scam. And they're getting ever more sophisticated. If you're smart or lucky, you don't get fooled. But many of us do, and it's costing billions, as our David Pogue discovered.
One evening, I got an email.
One day last year, Jeff Pliskin opened an email that looked like it came from a good friend of his.
He was trying to buy a gift card for his niece and that his card was being rejected, and could I please make the purchase, and that he would be happy to just completely reimburse me. So I did it, and then he wrote back a little while later saying, unfortunately, I wanted to gift her this so that she could buy a particular item, but this is not enough to buy the item. Could you do another $200?
By the time it was over, Pliskin had bought $600 worth of Amazon gift cards and unwittingly sent them to a scammer online.
That was a $600 lesson.
Last year alone, we saw losses in excess of $10.3 billion through over 800,000 complaints. Those are just the ones we heard about.
Mike Driscoll is a cybersecurity consultant. We met him earlier this year when he ran the New York office of the FBI.
Is it your impression that scamming is getting more prevalent?
Just based on the numbers we're seeing, the calls we're getting on a regular basis, yes, it is.
In fact, the amount of money Americans lost to scammers more than doubled during the pandemic. People over age 60 lost the most money of all.
Why do you think that is?
They've got resources that can be exploited. It may be that they're more trusting, and there's an element where that population is somewhat less tech savvy than perhaps younger people.
There are hundreds of scams. To help you spot the patterns, it's my pleasure to welcome the Sunday Morning theatrical players, David Del Grasso and Alicia Spielman.
The phishing scam.
Here's an email from my bank. There's a problem with your account.
It is fake. I sent it.
Click here to fix the problem. Okay. Now I will log in.
It is a fake website. Now I have her name and password.
The tech support scam.
This website says there's a problem with my computer. Call this number.
Thank you for calling Microsoft Tech Support. You have a flux capacitance overflow, ma'am. May I take control of your computer to fix it?
Permission granted.
Now I will steal all of her information.
The romance scam.
I am widowed or divorced, and I am so lonely. I will use this dating app. He is so handsome.
My profile is fake. That photo is not me.
We talk on the phone. He is charming and attentive.
I have medical and/or legal problems. Will you send me money or gift cards?
Of course, my love.
And the grandma scam.
Hello?
Grandma?
It's really staticky. Eric, is this you?
Yes, it's Eric. I've been mugged, and I'm overseas, and I need money.
Oh, you poor thing. How much do you need?
Is the end goal of all of these things you giving money to somebody else?
Money or information. And sometimes people discount how much value is in their information, whether it's your personal identifiers or your healthcare information.
So now you know how you can get scammed. Later on Sunday Morning, the 3 golden rules for not getting scammed.
Most of today's online scams originate in organized call centers in India, which are beyond the FBI's jurisdiction.
Thank you for calling support.
But this man has found a new way to fight them.
I keep getting messages on the computer.
He goes by the pseudonym Kit Boga.
I try to bring some entertainment to an otherwise dark world.
In his videos, he spends hours talking to the scammers.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you take care of it since you're the expert.
My job is to waste as much time as possible with scammers on the phone, so they're not on the phone with somebody else, and then hopefully educate people about how the scam works.
It says certified tech created the directory. You see that?
To fool the scammers, he uses a voice-changing device.
It'll sound something a little bit like this. And hi, sweetheart, how are you?
Sometimes I try to do maybe some sort of, I don't even know what kind of accent this is, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't really know.
Half the time I just wing it and try to have fun.
Remember that God is patient too.
His goal is to drag the scammers off of their prepared scripts.
Sometimes I say something like, what do you want your kids to be when they grow up? I bet they want to be just like you. And you can hear the voices breaking. No, I don't want them to be like me.
I want to come out from the dark, but I cannot.
But he's not the only soldier in the scammer wars who's using fake voices. Remember the grandma scam?
I've been mugged, and I'm overseas, and I need money.
Nowadays, an enterprising scammer can create an AI voice clone of your grandson using an app like this, the better to fool you with. Grandma, it's me, David. I've been mugged, and I need money. But according to former FBI Assistant Director Mike Driscoll, even the most sophisticated scam can't work without your cooperation.
There's a term we use when we talk about security in general, physical security, and it's called hardening the target, where you put up gates, you put up locks, you secure the location. You can make yourself a hard target by being smart about what these scams are.
So, how do you harden your target? 3 rules. First, hit pause.
There's always this sense of urgency, and if you don't do this now, you're not going to get that $300 refunded. If you don't do this now, you're going to go to prison or whatever it is. You can say, like, all right, give me the reference number, but I'm going to talk to a professional. I'm going to get a second opinion.
Rule number 2, every scam begins with scammers contacting you by phone or text message or email or a website pop-up. So, ignore or hang up and contact the real organization yourself.
You're not going to get a call from Google that says, hey, we need to fix your system. Don't take that call, don't take that email. Whatever that organization is, reach out directly to them and verify that.
Let's say I get an email from Amazon that says there's a problem with your order. Click here.
Don't click on it. Go directly to Amazon and enter your information there.
And rule number 3, report the scam right away.
Our ability to get those funds back is very, very limited by time. We have to act very quickly, so reach out immediately. They will freeze what they need to freeze and protect you as much as they can.
Those guidelines could have saved scam victim Jeff Pliskin the money he lost last year.
Well, I think you're kind of noble to admit that this happened to you.
It's embarrassing, but maybe somebody will see this and say, oh, this is a good thing to watch out for.
David Pogue has been future-gazing all this month, looking into the brave new world of artificial intelligence. This morning he explains why with AI, seeing isn't always believing.
I'm gonna show you some magic.
That's not Tom Cruise.
It's the real thing.
Я змушений приймати складні рішення.
That's not the Ukrainian president calling for his citizens to surrender.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time.
And that's a fake Obama, although what he's saying here is true. These are deepfakes, phony videos of real people, generated by artificial intelligence software at the hands of people who want to undermine our trust. These days, deepfakes are becoming so realistic that experts worry about what they'll do to news and democracy.
Now hold on. This is not going to be one of those depressing news stories. This story is about how the good guys are fighting back.
How can we solve this problem? Is there a way out?
Eric Horvitz is Microsoft's chief scientific officer and the co-creator of the email spam filter. 2 years ago, he began trying to solve this problem.
Within 5 or 10 years, if we don't have this technology, most of what people will be seeing, or quite a lot of it, will be synthetic. We won't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, look at that.
As it turned out, a similar effort was underway at Adobe, the company that makes Photoshop.
So we wanted to think about giving everyone a tool, a way to tell whether something's true or not.
Dana Rao is Adobe's chief counsel and chief trust officer.
Why not just have your genius engineers develop some software program that can analyze a video and go, beep, that's a fake.
Problem is the technology to detect AI is developing, and the technology to edit AI is developing, and there's always going to be this horse race of which one wins. And so we know that for a long-term perspective, AI is not going to be the answer.
My fellow Americans,
Both companies concluded that trying to distinguish real videos from phony ones would be a never-ending arms race. And so,
and we flipped the problem on its head, because we said, what we really need is to provide people a way to know what's true, instead of trying to catch everything that's false.
So you're not out to develop technology that can prove that something's a fake. This technology will prove that something's for real.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. It is a lie detector for photos and videos.
eventually, Microsoft and Adobe joined forces and designed a new feature called Content Credentials, which they hope will someday appear on every authentic photo and video. Here's how it works.
Imagine you're scrolling through your social feed. Someone sent you a picture of snowy pyramids, and they told you that the scientists found them in Antarctica. And you're like, well, I don't remember that from my 5th grade English class. Let me click on this button here, and you can take a look for yourself. You can see the original, and you can see the new image that you've seen.
That little button reveals the history of this photo or video. It's Content Credentials.
You can see who took it, when they took it, and where they took it, and the edits that were made.
And if that little button in the top right isn't there, then what do I conclude?
You would say, I think this person may be trying to fool me.
Already, 900 companies have agreed to display the Content Credentials button. They represent the entire life cycle of photos and videos, from the camera that takes them to the websites that display them.
The bad actors, they're not going to use this tool. They're going to try and fool you, and they're going to make up something. Why didn't they want to show me their work? Why didn't they want to show me what was real, what edits they made? Because if they didn't want to show that to you, maybe you shouldn't believe them.
Now, content credentials aren't going to be a silver bullet. We're also going to need laws, and we're also going to need education so that we, the people, can fine-tune our baloney detectors.
But in the next couple of years, you'll start seeing that special button on photos and videos online. At least on the ones that aren't fake.
We're trying out different prototypes right now. If someone tampers with that video, in this case a gold symbol comes up and says, content credentials incomplete.
Aha.
Step back, be skeptical.
Wow. So as a person on the viewing end, I don't need to know about all your complicated manifest Microsoft mumbo jumbo. I just see either that icon's there or it's missing or indicating that something's wrong.
Absolutely.
You're mentioning media companies, New York Times, BBC, you're mentioning software companies, Microsoft, Adobe, who are in some realms competitors. You're saying that they all lay down their arms to work together on something to save democracy.
Yeah, I think that groups working together across the larger ecosystem, social media platforms, computing platforms, broadcasters, producers, and governments.
Wow, so this thing could work.
I think it has a chance of making a dent, potentially a big dent in the challenges we face, and us all coming together in a way to address this challenge of our time.
If you like what you're seeing, just wait till what's coming next.
You might call it the sandal of the summer. No need to be at the beach to make a splash. As Seth Doan explains, Birkenstocks are so popular, it's criminal.
It's proof of popularity that the German footwear brand Birkenstock never wanted.
Okay, what is the price for this?
This is very cheap, very cheap.
In the fight against fakes, the shoemaker has been sending teams of undercover investigators with hidden cameras into what they say are counterfeiting factories. This is their video.
In white, and this is in black.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
No problem.
But it is a problem for Birkenstock.
We don't just punish the marketplaces or the resellers, we really go to the factories.
Birkenstock's CEO Oliver Reichart is aggressive.
Turkey, Philippines, China, wherever.
Sounds like you're running special ops.
Yes, but that's necessary.
His unconventional approach is clear at their Munich headquarters.
You're sitting at your desk, listening, at times blasting music.
Yeah.
It's not what you expect from a CEO.
Probably I'm not the average CEO. I never tried to be average in anything.
And Birkenstock has proved it's not average either. If you haven't noticed, Birkenstocks are everywhere, revealing the toes, or yes, socks, of not just the most unfashionable among us, but models and celebrities too. It's undeniable that Birkenstock is having a moment, nearly 250 years in the making.
This is the perfect casual summertime shoe, and everybody should own a pair.
I hope you saved your Birkenstocks from 8th grade because they're back, baby.
And I kid you not, these sandals have changed my life.
And Birks have come a long way from their days as a hippie staple. Since he took over this formerly family-run business in 2009, Oliver Reichert has tried to inject a startup energy.
If you have such a tradition and such a history, the threat is to wake up in your own museum. And I don't want to have this. In the footbed?
He's ruthless regarding brand collaboration requests. They get plenty.
8 out of 10 will say no.
They said yes to Dior.
How much is this?
And are now producing this felt-covered shoe.
Not enough, I would say.
Retailing for over $1,000.
And it's about supporting the idea behind the product and not harming the DNA of either brand. It's like a marriage, you know?
And there's luxury shoemaker Manolo Blahnik, known for his coveted stilettos.
Manolo Blahnik. Manolo Blahnik. They weren't sandals, they were Manolos.
But Blahnik is an avid Birkenstock customer, now turned collaborator.
You think of Manolo Blahnik and Sex and the City and Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah, but she's wearing Birkenstock as well, even in the private life.
No, I meant my stocks and socks.
When you see some celebrity pictured with Birkenstocks, what do you think?
I'm proud that they're wearing Birkenstocks, and I know, and makes me even prouder, they buy for it.
You don't give them to some famous person?
We don't have a Hollywood office or something like this, no.
And if some celebrity says, hey, I'll wear this shoe, you won't send them a shoe?
Why?
Come on.
If they send me money, I will send them a shoe.
They buy the shoe.
Yeah, of course.
It's a glamorous twist for a company that traces its roots back to a cobbler in central Germany in 1774. In the late 1800s, a descendant, Conrad Birkenstock, began making and selling flexible insoles. For decades, that humble footbed was the family business.
In the 60s, Karl Birkenstock was somehow frustrated that, okay, we make the best insole in the world, but nobody sees our product. So he decided to try to bring the footbed out of the shoes, and that's the birthday of the sandal.
But the shoe stores in America didn't want the product.
It was an ugly shoe. You know, they say, oh, okay, are you crazy?
Ugly, perhaps, and for a time, uncool. But in just the past decade, Birkenstock reports sales have more than quadrupled.
What's the most popular Birkenstock?
Definitely the Arizona. This is the Arizona. Give you another nice picture. This is the Arizona, you know.
Then COVID provided another unexpected boost.
Unfortunately, we became the #1 home office shoe. The demand in the online was crazy.
So why do you say unfortunately?
It's painful to have no sales, but it's very painful to have too much sales. Trying to manage this global demand is challenging.
We saw that at one of their factories in the east of Germany, where they were racing to fill a backlog of nearly 1 million pairs.
How much stock is here?
Here's the stock only for 10 days.
Managing Director Hilmar Knoll juggles the logistics.
We're always at the limit of our capacity.
Daily, they produce 80,000 footbeds, which all start as a mix of cork from Portugal.
This is part of what you call secret recipe.
Yes, this is one of our secrets, definitely.
That secret mix is heated, then squeezed into molds.
So this is jute, cork latex, jute, and the leather. Then will be this footbed. The shearling is one of our biggest success in the last years.
Birkenstock still makes all its shoes in Germany and is fiercely protective of that quality. As part of its effort to crack down on counterfeiters, it stopped selling on Amazon, citing the number of fakes being sold.
How hard was that?
For us, nothing.
Well, it's a huge outlet.
Maybe, but not a good one. I think at the beginning, Amazon was a pioneer in online trading. You have to kill monsters when they are small. If they're getting too big, you can't kill them, okay? They will eat you. And we decide to kill our monsters early.
In a statement, Amazon told us fewer than 0.01% of all products sold on Amazon received a counterfeit complaint from customers, and we won't rest until that number is zero.
I mean, those are also very beautiful.
The robust market for fakes reinforces, as if anyone needed a reminder, just how popular these sandals are, whatever the reason.
Even the people who hate the brand wear them because they are good. It's like, do you like taking medicine? No. Yeah, it helps, so you swallow it.
You seem almost proud that some people don't like your product.
It's a proof of concept. It doesn't matter for us, because once you get the product, you will wear this, and you rebuy it. So, one day we get you.
That's Matisse, and this is a Picasso. She's a nightclub singer.
Jaw-dropping just barely describes the art.
A Miro?
A Miro.
In billionaire energy executive Bill Koch's Palm Beach home.
This is amazing to see a Monet water lilies in someone's house.
I know.
You may have heard of his brothers, Charles and David, who bankroll political causes.
And then you have these Remingtons.
Bill Koch is a man willing to spend a great deal of money on the best of everything, including wine. He is also a man who doesn't like getting cheated.
What have we here?
Well, we have a selection of my fake wines. For 421 bottles that are definitely fake, I've spent $4.5 million. So that's a pretty big swindle.
What we're talking about here is a world where a bilked billionaire,
it's fake, the label's fake,
says he spent nearly twice as much on fake wine as the average college graduate will make in a lifetime.
Here's a nice old bottle, 1737 Lafite. But look at the other side, 1737 Chateau Lafite Rothschild. The Rothschilds didn't own Lafite in 1737. So
there's still wine in it.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what's actually in it?
Moose piss, or pardon me.
It doesn't take a genius to figure out that it's the money that attracts counterfeiters to these wines, usually from France, Burgundy, or Bordeaux. The older, the better.
The label is pretty good.
Is it a phony label or is it a real label?
No, it's a phony label.
Unless you have a good magnifying glass and know what you're seeing, it's easy to be fooled.
So this bottle purports to be a bottle of 1961 Chateau Lafite Rothschild.
Which would cost
$3,000, $3,500.
Maureen Downey is a San Francisco wine consultant and wine detective.
The problem with this bottle is that when we look at this cork where it says 19, the 6 has been squished. It's all squished up because it's been reinserted. And the 1 used to be a 4. So this is not a 1961. So somebody took a 1964, which would only be worth $200 or $300.
What's so special about this particular fake?
It's not bad.
It's not bad at all. Cheers. But it's not 1961 Lafite.
It came from Rudy Kurniawan, who's been described as the Bernie Madoff of the wine world. An Indonesian citizen, he came out of nowhere in the early 2000s, in a now infamous pair of auctions. In 2006, he sold $35 million worth of the rare wines he supposedly had collected. The FBI arrested Kurniawan in March 2012. Investigators found a regular fake factory in his home near Los Angeles. Bottles, labels, capsules, glue, a recorking device. A star witness for the prosecution, Bill Koch himself, identified Kurniawan-sourced fakes he bought. On Wednesday, Kurniawan was convicted of fraud and faces up to 40 years in prison. Outlandish as all of this may be, the Rudy Kurniawan case is only the latest controversy over the authenticity of wine. It so happens Coke was involved in another one, equally sensational.
I used to bring people down here and brag and say, "You want to see Thomas Jefferson's wine?" Well, then when I found out it was fake, now what I have to do is say, "Come on down and see my fake Thomas Jefferson bottles."
Well, can I see them?
Please. Here is 1787 Mouton THJ.
Thomas Jefferson or not?
Now here's another one, sweet little bottle, which is 1787 Lafite THJ.
Coke owns 4 of them. They were part of a couple of dozen or so, sourced originally to a German, now reputed to be a master counterfeiter. He calls himself Hardy Rodenstock, not his real name. His collection seemed to be so impressive, he made the cover of Wine Spectator magazine.
Even before the auction, the hand-blown amber-green bottle of Lafite 1787 had become the most famous bottle of wine in the world.
The sale of the first so-called Thomas Jefferson bottle in 1985 at Christie's in London was such a big deal that it made the CBS Evening News.
Was it really part of a 1790 order he split with his pal George Washington?
At the time, Christie's said there is an immense amount of circumstantial evidence supporting the ordering of this wine and its identification, but of course, no proof.
Mr. Forbes.
The bottle sold for more than $157,000, a record then, to Christopher Forbes, acting on behalf of his well-known father, Malcolm Forbes of Forbes magazine.
But this is 1784.
In 1988, Bill Koch bought his own Hardy Rodenstock THJ bottles, although not from Christie's, which had never even seen these.
I have 4.
And you spent how much in total?
Somewhere a little less than $400,000.
And there was no question in your mind that this was authentic?
At that time.
Soon, he began to have doubts. Eventually, he hired investigators, including an ex-FBI agent, who informed him his THJ bottles were counterfeit. Those initials, they told him, made with an electric engraving tool, non-existent in the 18th century.
Were you furious?
Yes, I was absolutely very furious. And I said, I'm going after him. If it takes me to the end of the world, I'm going after the fraudster.
How do you go about doing that?
Well, spending a lot of money, unfortunately.
Koch says he spent $25 million so far on the 8 wine-related lawsuits he's filed against Hardy Rodenstock and others.
I want to shine a bright light on this whole fraud to show how bad it is.
We repeatedly attempted to contact Hardy Rodenstock, but received no reply.
11, 12, 13, 14,000. $14,000 here, 14,000.
The prices paid at auction for collectible wines can seem staggering.
Sold at $15,000 to...
But actually, worldwide sales dropped 19% by nearly $100 million last year, industry observers say, because counterfeiting, the Rudy Kurniawan case particularly, has made buyers gun-shy.
This is our first-year barrel room. It holds about 1,000 barrels.
Faking fine wine is rampant and growing, especially in China. One target? California's Opus One, a wine that aspires to the status and price of the most counterfeited French wines.
We have embedded in the top of the capsule very special ink.
So Opus One CEO David Pearson is fighting counterfeiters.
People can see one color and then another.
With a tamper-proof capsule that changes color. And this.
The 2008 and all vintages since then. We put behind the back label a flat chip.
You scan it with your phone.
The chip, once it's scanned, sends a message back to our computer server that the bottle was scanned. It also is capable of geolocating the bottle anywhere in the world.
That's right, like GPS tracking.
I think counterfeiters are very clever, and I think that the technology will shift. Once we put something out, they will adapt to that, and we'll need to change our strategy, and it'll continue onward.
It goes back to the old saying, let the buyer beware.
As for Bill Koch, with more than 40,000 bottles in the cellars of his various homes, he's stopped buying.
I'm tired of the aggravation of being violated by these con artists and crooks.
Has it been worth it to go after these people?
Psychically, probably yes. You know, maybe I'm Don Quixote, attacking windmills of sorts. But to me, it brings me great satisfaction.